Minutes for questions.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Appreciate this. Mr. Chairman, ask unanimous consent to enter into the record a letter from the National Fisheries Institute regarding the LESS Act, laws ensuring safe shrimp pack.
Any objection? Without objection, so ordered.
Thank you. Appreciate that. Sorry to wake you. Thank you for being here. Thank both of y'all for being here. I'm going to take a little bit different route here, okay? So bear with me. I have the honor and privilege of representing the entire coast of Georgia, over 100 miles of pristine coastline. Shrimping is a big industry in our state, and shrimpers right now are really suffering. And I want to talk about a proposal, I should say, that legislation that's been introduced called the LESS Act that I think, Mr. Jones, you're familiar with. And with all due respect to Representative Graves and Representative Castor, the co-sponsors of this bill, wild Georgia shrimp are the best in the world, and that's all there is to it, and that's not really up for debate. But if we were to quote the great philosopher Bubba Gump out of the movie Forrest Gump, you'll remember what he said: shrimp is the fruit of the sea. So it's extremely important. It's extremely important to the shrimpers in my district and McIntosh and Glenn counties and all throughout the coast. Unfortunately, Georgia shrimpers who are entirely based in my district face significant challenges to their ability to operate and compete in a global market for seafood. And this is truly a shame as more and more Americans turn to our country's #1 seafood product. While I'm unsure of the issues that are completely under the jurisdiction of our committee, but I do want to bring awareness to this issue, and I want to ask Mr. Jones about the inspection of seafood entering the U.S. Mr. Jones, this bill, the LESS Act, that's been introduced by Representative Grace and Representative Castor, it aims to ensure that shrimp in the United States are free of illegal antibiotics or products of illegal fishing operations. Could you speak to the extent of these issues and how HAPSAC, the Hazard Analysis and Critical Control Points, works to identify and mitigate food safety issues before they happen rather than relying on the finished product testing?
Thanks, Congressman. And yeah, that is the underlying principle really of all of our food safety requirements. HACCP was really the first one that embraced that principle, where you're identifying a hazard at production, and then you're attempting to eliminate those hazards. And we work with industry to help them to understand what to look for and how to mitigate those hazards.
So is there anything we can do differently? I mean, is there anything that these guys are really struggling? And I think it's going to be a shame if we, look, I'm not trying to do away with competition, but at the same time, we really need this industry to survive.
Thanks. That's a great question. And in the last several years, Congress has given us $7 million to enhance our shrimp import programs. And what we've been focusing on is working with the major exporters to the United States to work with their governments to increase the likelihood, I would say ensure, but it's really to increase the likelihood that the safety standards that we insist on in this country are being adopted in our major, in the countries we're importing the most from, so that there's a level playing field in terms of the safety requirements of our domestic producers as well as those we're importing from.
Well, this is very important because, as I said, we know there's illegal fishing that's going on. We know that that they're using illegal antibiotics that are not allowed here in this country. So, all we're asking for is competitive playing field, and all we're asking for is to be able to compete. So I hope that the FDA understands that and understands the value of this, because if they're dumping all these shrimp that are being raised in Indonesia or wherever they may be, then that's really a problem, and that's really unfair.
We agree with that 100%, and having investments that help us to increase the likelihood that shrimp, in this case, that's being imported to the United States, are meeting the same standards that our growers are, is, I think, a really smart way to approach this issue.
Okay. Well, thank you for that. And again, wild Georgia shrimp, the best in the world. So thank y'all.